Open-world zombie games are about more than just escaping the hordes. Sometimes you are trapped in a city, sometimes you build a base from scratch, and sometimes a single bad decision can cost you hours of progress. In this video, we're looking at 20 open-world zombie games you can play on PC, ranging from massive zombie hordes to hardcore survival systems. Some have been among the best in the genre for years, while others are much newer and may not even be on your radar yet. State of Decay 2 asks you to manage not just a single character, but an entire community trying to survive after a zombie outbreak. In the open world, you find new survivors, decide who should join your group, and use each person's different skills to keep your settlement running. Every trip outside for food, medicine, and ammunition directly affects how well your base can hold up. You can build new facilities, strengthen your defenses, and move to a different base depending on what your community needs. Destroying plague hearts reduces the blood plague threat across the map, while every risk matters more because a survivor you lose is gone for good. Instead of following one fixed hero, the game keeps shifting the focus between the people in your community, so each loss, new recruit, and decision changes how your story develops. Project Zomboid is such a brutal zombie survival game that lasting even a few days can feel like an achievement. In the huge open world of Knox County, you loot houses, stockpile food, repair vehicles, and slowly turn a place you believe is safe into a real shelter. But small mistakes are rarely forgiven here. Hunger, illness, injuries, and even a single bite can bring the end of a character you have kept alive for a long time. Build 42 makes the world even larger, adding new and reworked areas, hundreds of basements, animals, and expanded hunting systems. You can face all of this alone, join other survivors through online multiplayer, or play locally in split-screen co-op. Project Zomboid's real strength is that it never promises a heroic ending. No matter how carefully you play, every survivor eventually leaves behind their own story of how they died. DayZ is a brutal open-world survival game where one bad decision can wipe out hours of progress in seconds. In Chernaris, you search for food, water, medicine, and weapons, but the infected are only part of the danger. Much of the tension comes from never knowing whether another player will help you or turn on you the moment they get the chance. Hunger, illness, blood loss, and injuries can all turn small mistakes into serious problems. You can repair vehicles, build a base, and travel into more dangerous areas in search of better loot. DayZ does not give you a scripted story to follow. Your story comes from the people you meet and the choices you make to stay alive. A single encounter with a stranger can completely change the direction of your journey. Dying Light the Beast brings Kyle Crane back to Castor Woods after years of experimentation. But this time the challenge is not just surviving the zombies. He also has to learn how to control the beast within him. With both human and zombie DNA inside him, Crane can use beast mode to become far more destructive for short periods during combat. The open world also feels more rural than in the previous games, with areas ranging from the town center and swamps to farms and forests. Parkour is still at the heart of movement, while off-road vehicles also play an important role in exploration and pushing through hordes. During the day, you gather resources and explore the environment, while at night, much more dangerous infected such as volatiles emerge. The entire story can also be played in co-op with up to 4 players, with shared progression throughout the adventure. HumanitZ tells its zombie outbreak story from an isometric perspective, but it does not keep the scale small. Across its 16 square kilometer open world, you can enter city centers to search for valuable supplies, while quieter areas let you survive through hunting, fishing, and farming. Base building goes beyond putting up a few walls. You can prepare defenses with electric fences and concrete barriers, while vehicles can be upgraded with armor, weapons, and extra storage. Hunger, weather conditions, hostile survivors, and different zombie types constantly put pressure on you, while professions and a skill tree let you shape your character. You can also play solo or in co-op, giving you very different ways to approach this large world. Days Gone tells the story of former outlaw biker Deacon St. John, who is trying to survive in Oregon 2 years after the outbreak. After finding signs that his wife Sarah, who he believed was dead, may still be alive, Deacon heads back onto the road. During his search, he works with survivor camps, follows Nero's research into the outbreak, and travels across the open world on his motorcycle. The bike is more than just transportation. It can run out of fuel, take damage, and be upgraded over time. The biggest threat comes from freaker hordes. When hundreds of them rush at you at once, simply shooting is not enough. You need to use the environment, plan escape routes, and choose the right moment to attack. That is where Days Gone becomes most intense, as long, quiet rides can suddenly turn into massive horde chases.
Come on!
Vane makes the zombie apocalypse difficult through the small choices you make just to stay alive, rather than only through large battles. Inside abandoned buildings, you are not simply looting cupboards. You can open mailboxes, use faucets, and directly interact with many of the objects around you. Zombies also do more than react when you enter their line of sight. They can hear you, smell you, and respond differently depending on what they detect. As the seasons change, the world changes with them, while long-term random events can disrupt your survival plans. You also need to manage vehicle fuel and maintenance while building safe areas, hunting, fishing, and growing food. You can do all of this alone, or survive in the same world with friends in co-op. Night of the Dead builds its entire survival loop around one constant pressure. Night is approaching, and the zombie horde is not far behind. During the day, you explore the open world, gather resources from abandoned areas, and prepare your defenses before darkness falls. What really sets the game apart is not simply building a base, but turning that base into a giant death trap. You create corridors, put up walls, and connect different traps to guide zombies along the routes you want. Hidden dungeons across the open world give you another reason to search for stronger equipment. Vehicles also help you reach more distant areas. Once night begins, everything you prepared during the day is finally put to the test against the incoming horde. You can play alone or with others in multiplayer. Dead Island 2 takes you through Los Angeles during a zombie outbreak, while you try to uncover the truth behind your own infection. Across Hella, you move through different neighborhoods, meet survivors, and fight increasingly dangerous types of zombies. The strongest part of the game is its melee combat. With machetes, axes, hammers, and weapons that can be modified in different ways, you can approach fights in a variety of styles. Your chosen slayer and the skill card system also let you shape your abilities around the way you want to play. You can progress through the story alone or play in co-op with up to 3 players. What sets Dead Island 2 apart is that, instead of focusing on heavy survival systems, it puts more emphasis on fast-paced melee combat, character progression, and its colorful Los Angeles atmosphere. SurrounDead hides a detailed zombie survival system beneath its low-poly visuals. As you explore cities, military areas, and abandoned buildings across the open world, you collect weapons, equipment, and valuable supplies. However, zombies are not the only threat, as hostile survivors can also become part of your encounters. Vehicles make it easier to cover long distances while also providing extra storage and requiring maintenance. You can trade with merchants in safe zones, use existing buildings as bases, or create your own space. Since the game does not force you along a specific path, the way you explore and survive is shaped entirely by your own choices. In 7 Days to Die, one thing becomes more important with every passing day: whether you are truly ready for the next blood moon. You explore abandoned houses, towns, and different biomes across the open world, gathering food, ammunition, and crafting materials before preparing a base that can survive the incoming zombie horde. Much of the world can be destroyed and reshaped, so the way you build your defenses is entirely up to you. Walls, traps, electrical systems, and automated turrets can all become part of your fortress. As your character develops, you gain access to stronger equipment and new crafting options, while vehicles let you reach more distant areas. You can play solo or in multiplayer, and the real strength of 7 Days to Die is how it turns days of preparation into a true test when the blood moon finally arrives. DeadPoly brings the zombie apocalypse into a more colorful, low-poly world, but it does not take the survival side lightly. In the open world, you loot abandoned buildings, collect weapons and equipment, and then use the materials you find to reinforce an existing structure or build your own base from scratch. Basic needs like hunger and thirst still have to be managed, but the game does not force you into a single way of playing. You can progress through quests, level up, or simply explore in search of better loot. You can also customize weapons with different attachments, giving combat a little more depth. You can play through all of this alone, team up with friends in co-op, or join online servers. The result is a zombie survival game that keeps its sandbox freedom without turning every system into a chore. Undead Nightmare transforms the open world of Red Dead Redemption from the Wild West into a zombie apocalypse in one dramatic turn. This time, John Marston is not hunting down former gang members, but the undead rising from their graves as he clears towns, helps survivors, and searches for the source of the outbreak. The horseback exploration and gunplay of the original game remain intact, but ammunition becomes much more valuable, forcing you to think carefully about every shot when facing large groups. Alongside different types of zombies, the world is also filled with supernatural creatures such as Sasquatch, the Chupacabra, and the four horses of the apocalypse. What really sets it apart from traditional zombie survival games is the setting, replacing modern cities with abandoned towns, graveyards, and the open landscapes of the Wild West. That still makes Undead Nightmare one of the most distinctive zombie games on the list. No One Survived puts you in an open-world zombie survival setting, where your main goal is to build a safe life from scratch in what remains after the outbreak. In the early days, you focus on finding food, water, and basic materials. Over time, your goal becomes much bigger than simply surviving another day. As you gain knowledge in areas like medicine, metallurgy, electricity, and weapons manufacturing, more advanced technologies become available, and a basic shelter gradually turns into a more organized base with its own production systems. Every trip into the open world gives you a chance to find valuable resources, but getting back home through zombie-filled areas is never guaranteed. You can build this entire setup alone, or play online co-op with friends and develop it together in the same world. The best thing about Dismantle is that it lets you progress by tearing apart almost everything around you. From furniture inside buildings to objects scattered across the streets, much of the environment can be dismantled. Those pieces can then be turned into materials for new tools, equipment, and permanent upgrades. The open world is not only about collecting loot, it also includes hidden areas, puzzles, tombs, and the larger goal of finding a way off the island. As you fight the creatures roaming the world, you clear new areas, set up outposts, and gradually reclaim the map. With activities like farming, fishing, and cooking as well, Dismantle gives you plenty to do without relying on constant combat. Never Be Alone drops you into a vast world 10 years after the outbreak, where nature has begun reclaiming abandoned cities. Survival is not just about staying away from zombies, because the fragile DayZ you are trying to protect gradually becomes the center of everything you do. You gather resources, build a base, craft equipment, and use vehicles with fuel and damage systems to reach more distant areas. Different zombie types and hostile human groups keep the world dangerous. At the same time, a story about uncovering your forgotten past gives you another reason to keep moving forward. You can play entirely alone or team up with friends in co-op to build, explore, and survive together. Unturned hides a surprisingly expansive zombie survival sandbox behind its simple, blocky visuals. As you search the open world for food, weapons, and equipment, you can build your own shelter and use vehicles across land, air, and water to reach distant parts of the map. Entering the more dangerous dead zones requires the right equipment and proper preparation. You can also talk to NPCs, take on quests, and trade, while different maps keep exploration varied. You can play alone, team up with others in LAN co-op or online multiplayer, and even take part in PvP encounters. Strong workshop support and the fact that it is completely free on PC make Unturned an easy game to jump into, even years after its original release. Welcome to ParadiZe lets you do something most zombie games never even consider. Capture the undead and make them work for you. The zombies you take control of become helpers called Zombots. They can fight, defend your camp, and handle certain tasks in your place. Because of this system, exploring the open world is not just about searching for weapons and equipment, but also deciding which zombies are worth using and how to put them to work. As you move into different areas, you find new resources, improve your camp, and face more dangerous creatures. You can play on your own or continue with friends in co-op. That is what really sets Welcome to ParadiZe apart. It turns zombies from a threat into part of your survival setup. Survivalist Invisible Strain uses a simple, comic book-like visual style while mixing third-person action with broader community management. The goal here is not just to find food and put up a few walls. You recruit survivors into your group, assign them jobs, and manage how they get along over time. Characters can change the way they feel about you and each other based on the decisions you make, which makes keeping the community together more complicated than simply gathering resources. While searching the open world for supplies, you can trade with other groups, fight them, and expand your own settlement. The biggest danger comes from the hidden infection itself. Someone may carry it without showing obvious signs at first, so even people inside your own community can become difficult to trust. SCUM takes surviving a zombie apocalypse far beyond simply finding food and weapons. You control a prisoner dropped into a massive open world, looting settlements filled with zombies while staying prepared for threats from both the environment and other players. Alongside hunger and thirst, systems such as calories, vitamins, body weight, and metabolism can all affect your character's performance. You can use the materials you collect to craft equipment, build a base, travel across the map with vehicles, and enter military areas in search of better loot. In addition to zombies, armed players and other deadly threats make exploration constantly risky. SCUM's most distinctive feature is how it turns survival into a detailed simulation that takes even your character's physical condition into account.